Sometimes life looks perfect until it isn't. My name is Natalie Parker, and for years I thought I was living the kind of simple happiness most people hope for. No dramatic fairy tale, no flashy Instagram life, just two people who loved each other and built something real. Adam and I had been married for 8 years. We weren't perfect, no couple is, but we were happy. We laughed a lot, we made plans for the future, we supported each other through life's ups and downs. And honestly, that was enough for me. My younger sister, Rachel, was always around. She lived nearby, was still single, and spent a lot of time with us. Holidays, birthdays, casual dinners. She became like a part of our little household. Adam always got along great with her. They joked, they shared hobbies, and I liked that they were close. It felt like we were one big extended family. And I truly believed Rachel was happy for us. For me. Looking back now, maybe I was too trusting. But when you love people, you don't spend your time looking for cracks. You assume the best because that's what family is supposed to be. And for a long time, I thought that's exactly what we had. Until the day Rachel told me she was pregnant. And my world, the one I thought was steady and safe, started to unravel. Rachel and I have always been close, not just as sisters, but almost like best friends who happen to share blood. She's 2 years younger than me, and growing up, we were each other's safe place. We went through everything side by side. Childhood secrets, heartbreaks, bad dates, school drama, all of it. She was my maid of honor at my wedding, my first phone call when I got my promotion, the shoulder I cried on during my miscarriages. When I first met Adam, it was Rachel who encouraged me to give him a chance. I was cautious at the time, guarded, but she saw something in him right away. "He adores you," she'd always say, smiling. "You deserve to be loved like that." She was there every step of the way, from the first date to helping me pick out my wedding dress, to standing next to me as I said, "I do." Even after I married Adam, Rachel never drifted away like some siblings do. She came over often for dinner, sometimes stayed late just to hang out. The three of us would watch movies, cook together, play board games. It felt easy, comfortable, like she was part of our home. I never once thought it was strange that my husband and sister got along so well. In fact, I loved it. What more could I ask for? My husband loved my sister loved my husband, and I loved both of them. Looking back, I realize now that Rachel never missed a moment. She was always there. At the time, it felt like unconditional support. Now I wonder if it was something else entirely. But in those days, I truly believed Rachel was simply happy for me, happy for us. A few years into our marriage, Adam and I decided it was time to start a family. We were excited, nervous, hopeful. We talked about baby names, nursery colors, how many kids we might have. At first, it felt like such a beautiful new chapter. But months went by, then a year, and nothing happened. At first, we tried to stay optimistic. These things take time, the doctors said. But as test after test came back with no real answers, that quiet hope started turning into quiet fear. My friends around me were announcing pregnancies while I was tracking ovulation apps and undergoing endless blood work. It wasn't romantic anymore. It became clinical, scheduled, cold. The disappointment slowly started to eat away at us. Every month was another emotional roller coaster, full of hope, followed by heartbreak. Adam tried to stay strong for me, but I could see it wearing on him too. The tension between us built in ways we didn't always talk about. There were arguments about silly things, silent dinners, moments where I cried in the bathroom so he wouldn't hear. We still loved each other, but love doesn't always protect you from exhaustion. Through it all, Rachel was there. Every failed cycle, every doctor's visit. Every time I got bad news, she was the first to bring over takeout, pour me a glass of wine, and tell me everything would be okay. "You'll be an amazing mom one day, Nat. Don't give up." She even drove me to some of my appointments when Adam had work. She was my rock in a way I didn't even realize I needed. She always said the right thing. She always showed up. And I leaned on her because I trusted her more than anyone. I never imagined that behind her comforting words, something else was growing, something that would destroy us all. One evening, I left work earlier than expected. I didn't call or text Adam because I thought it would be a nice surprise. After everything we had been through lately, I wanted to have a quiet evening together. That's maybe even bring some lightness back into our heavy world. But when I pulled into the driveway, something immediately felt odd. Rachel's car was already parked outside. It wasn't entirely unusual. She often came over to visit or help around the house. But something about it made me pause for a moment. I shook it off, assuming maybe she had stopped by to check in, like she always did. As I opened the front door, the house was strangely quiet. No sounds of conversation, no TV playing. For a moment, I actually wondered if they had both stepped out. But then, suddenly, I heard laughter coming from upstairs. A few seconds later, Adam and Rachel came walking down the stairs together, both smiling, mid-laugh, as if I had walked in on some private joke. I froze for a moment, trying to process the unexpected scene. "What are you guys up to?" I asked, keeping my tone light, though something inside me tensed ever so slightly. Adam smiled easily, almost too quickly. "Oh, I was just showing Rachel the new painting we got for the guest room. You know, the one we picked out last weekend?" Rachel immediately jumped in, adding with a chuckle, "And of course, your husband has absolutely no eye for where to hang it, so we were arguing about which wall it belongs on. I think I won, by the way." She grinned and nudged Adam playfully, making him laugh again. She continued, "I came by early and figured I'd start dinner for you both. You've been so stressed, Nat. I thought you could use a break tonight." And just like that, my concerns were disarmed. This was Rachel, after all, my sister. The one person who had always been there for me. They often spent time together when I was busy or tired. It wasn't anything new. If anything, I felt guilty for even having that small flash of suspicion. I smiled, kissed Adam on the cheek, and thanked Rachel for the thoughtful gesture. But deep down, a small voice inside me whispered, "That was strange." I ignored it. Because I trusted them. Because I wanted to believe my life was still safe. Even though I tried to shake off that strange night, I couldn't quite let it go. Over the next few days, it lingered in the back of my mind. Eventually, I brought it up to Adam while we were having coffee one morning. We had always been able to talk openly, no secrets, no walls between us, so I felt safe enough to ask. "Hey," I said gently. "It was just, a little odd, me walking in that night and finding you two upstairs like that. Nothing was wrong, right?" Adam looked at me calmly, his face relaxed. "Of course not, Nat. You know how Rachel is. She's always been kind of like our extra roommate." He chuckled lightly and reached for my hand. "You know there's nothing going on, babe. Don't let your head run away on you." His words settled me, and for a while, life returned to normal. The months that followed were just life. Work, dinners, small get-togethers. Rachel mentioned now and then that she was dating here and there, but nothing serious. She was almost 30, she reminded me, and her biological clock was ticking, though she joked about it more than she seemed truly worried. Then one afternoon, everything shifted. Rachel came over, beaming with excitement. "I have news!" she announced, practically glowing. "I'm pregnant." The words hit me like a punch to the chest, not out of jealousy, but out of pure shock. "Pregnant?" I repeated, stunned. "Wow, I didn't even know you were seeing anyone seriously." She quickly waved it off, still smiling. "It wasn't planned. It was a one-night thing. He's not in the picture, doesn't want to be involved, but it's fine. I'm ready to be a mom. I've got a good job. I can support myself. Honestly, I'm really happy." I tried to mirror her happiness, but inside my stomach churned. Something about the whole thing just felt off. Adam stood beside me, frozen for a moment, but quickly forced a smile. "Wow, Rach, that's big news." But as I looked at him, I saw something flicker behind his eyes. Panic? Fear? Guilt? And then came the questions. He asked her dozens of them about the father, about how far along she was, about whether she was really ready to do this alone. It was as if he couldn't stop himself. His tone was concerned, but there was something deeper underneath it, something I couldn't quite reach. After a few awkward minutes, Rachel shrugged off his questions, changed the subject, and we eventually moved on to other things. But Adam's strange behavior stuck with me. He was unusually quiet for the rest of the evening. When Rachel got up to leave, Adam offered to walk her out to her car. I stayed behind, watching from the window as they stood next to her car, their heads bowed in a conversation that didn't look casual. Their faces were tight, serious. At one point, I could swear Rachel looked frustrated, even slightly angry. When Adam finally came back inside, I gently asked, "Is everything okay?" He smiled quickly, avoiding my eyes. "Yeah, just wanted to make sure she was all right. She's got a lot going on. I'm going to jump in the shower." And just like that, he disappeared upstairs, leaving me standing there in the kitchen, the quiet of the house pressing in on me. I couldn't shake it. Something was wrong. I just didn't know what. I've never been the jealous type. I trusted Adam. I trusted Rachel. Their strange behavior made me uncomfortable, yes. But I always brushed it off. I didn't want to become that paranoid, insecure woman who ruins her own peace by inventing problems that aren't there. And every time my gut whispered to me, I silenced it with the same sentence. Don't be ridiculous. They would never. One afternoon, I had the day off work and decided to stop by Rachel's place. We hadn't seen each other for a few days, and I wanted to catch up, talk about her pregnancy, help her with anything she might need. After all, we were still sisters. Our parents lived far away, and we had always leaned on each other for everything. Why should now be any different? Rachel greeted me warmly, her usual bubbly self. We chatted easily for a while, laughing about baby names, nursery colors, and doctor appointments. For a moment, it felt normal again, just two sisters planning for the future. Then, as we were talking, she asked casually, "Hey, can you grab my charger from my bedroom? I think I left it on the dresser." I walked into her bedroom, humming softly to myself. And that's when I saw it. Sitting right on her dresser, among her perfumes and jewelry, was a very familiar bottle. The exact cologne Adam wore every single day. For a second, my mind didn't even register the alarm. I smiled and called out, half laughing, "That's funny, Adam has the same one." Rachel's voice came from the kitchen a little too quickly. "Oh yeah? Huh. I guess great minds think alike." I grabbed the charger and walked back into the kitchen, trying to keep my face neutral. But my stomach tightened. And then came the second blow, the one that changed everything. While Rachel was checking her phone, I opened the kitchen drawer to grab a pen to jot something down. Sitting there, half tucked under some papers, was a small, folded note. I wasn't snooping. It practically fell into my hand. The handwriting stopped me cold. "I'm gonna miss you, honey. Kisses, Adam." The world around me seemed to blur for a moment. My pulse pounded in my ears. My hands started to shake, but I quickly slipped the note back exactly where I found it before Rachel noticed my reaction. She looked up and smiled, like nothing was wrong. I said nothing. I smiled. I laughed with her. I acted like everything was completely fine. But as I drove home that afternoon, gripping the steering wheel tightly, my mind was spinning. What if my instincts were right all along? What if Adam is the father of her child? What if everything I thought was safe has already been destroyed? The puzzle pieces I had ignored for so long were finally snapping into place. And the picture they formed made me sick to my stomach. The following days were torture. I couldn't sleep. I couldn't focus. I couldn't escape the racing thoughts in my head. My mind kept circling back to that note, to Adam's odd behavior, to the cologne on Rachel's dresser. I kept telling myself that maybe I was overreacting. Maybe there was some explanation I hadn't considered. But deep down, I already knew if I didn't find the truth, no one was ever going to give it to me. I started quietly searching. While Adam was at work, I went through his things. His phone, his iPad, drawers, closets, everything. But they were smart, careful, almost nothing suspicious. His texts with Rachel were innocent, casual, sisterly. Nothing out of place. They had clearly been very deliberate about keeping any trace far from obvious view. The more I found nothing, the crazier I felt. Was I losing my mind? But then I remembered the one thing people often forget: emails. Adam rarely used his email for personal things, or so I thought, but he always stayed logged in on our shared computer in the home office. On a quiet afternoon while he was out, I sat down at the desk, my heart pounding in my chest as I clicked into his inbox. At first, nothing. Invoices, work messages, newsletters. But then I noticed an old archived folder, one that looked like it hadn't been touched in months. Out of pure instinct, I opened it, and there it was. Hundreds of emails, some short, some long, intimate, personal, secret. Conversations between Adam and Rachel, plans to meet, jokes only lovers would share, fights, apologies, declarations of love. 2 years. For 2 years they had been doing this. 2 years of sneaking around behind my back while smiling to my face, while Rachel comforted me through my infertility, while Adam kissed me goodnight every single evening. I scrolled in horror, seeing message after message. Rachel telling him she loved him, Adam reassuring her he was figuring out how to handle things. Discussions about how complicated everything was with me. Conversations about the pregnancy and about how scared they both were when she found out she was pregnant, how they hadn't planned for this to happen but couldn't stop. I felt my entire body shaking. My hands were cold. My stomach twisted in knots. For 2 years, they sat at my table, laughed in my living room, played family with me, and carried on their secret right under my nose. I thought I was being paranoid. I thought I was protecting my marriage by trusting them. They were never protecting me. They were only protecting themselves. And now I finally knew everything. After I found the emails, I didn't confront them right away. I couldn't. The betrayal was so enormous, so devastating, that I needed time to even process what was real. My husband, my Adam, had gotten my sister pregnant. My own flesh and blood. For days, I sat with the weight of it. I replayed every memory, every holiday, every smile they both gave me while hiding what they were doing. And the more I thought about it, the more I realized there was no coming back from this. This wasn't just an affair. This was a full-blown life they were secretly building. A life that I was never meant to know about. Then came the invitation. Rachel's baby shower. Adam and I were both invited, of course. The perfect little family pretending everything was fine. At first, I didn't know if I could even attend. But then it hit me. This would be my moment. I didn't want screaming matches or public meltdowns. I wanted the truth to speak for itself. I quietly gathered everything. Screenshots of the emails, messages, photos, every detail they so carefully tried to erase. I organized it all into a single file, and then into a presentation. When Rachel called me a few days before and asked if I could help organize something fun for the shower, I told her I'd prepared a little surprise slideshow for her. She had no idea. The day of the shower arrived. The house was decorated beautifully. Pastel balloons, flowers, tables full of gifts. Rachel looked radiant, glowing in her maternity dress, surrounded by our family and friends. Our parents, our childhood friends, co-workers. Everyone was there. Everyone who still believed in the perfect image they had sold them. For a brief moment, I hesitated. Could I really do this? Was I about to destroy our entire family? But then I saw them. Adam standing behind Rachel, his hand resting protectively on her shoulder. They shared a private smile, one I knew all too well now. And in that moment, all doubt evaporated. What did they think would happen? That Rachel would raise this child, bring him to family dinners, pretend it was just some stranger's baby while I played along? That I would hold this child in my arms, call it my niece or nephew, and live inside their web of lies forever? Not anymore. They made this choice. And now I would make mine. I stood up, my heart pounding so hard it felt like my chest might explode. The room quieted as I smiled and thanked everyone for coming. My voice was calm, almost too calm. Before we move on with the gifts, I began, I've prepared something special for Rachel. A little tribute. I clicked the remote and my slideshow began. At first, the screen showed happy childhood photos of Rachel and me, laughing at the beach, blowing out birthday candles, growing up together. People smiled, laughed, clapped politely. Rachel beamed, completely unaware of what was coming. And then everything shifted. I took a breath. But, did you all know, I said, my voice steady, that Rachel's baby isn't fatherless at all? A few people turned their heads, confused. Rachel froze. Adam's face went pale. The baby's father, I continued, my voice sharper now, is actually someone very close to me, someone standing in this room. I clicked again. The screen changed. Email screenshots, photos, love notes, and 2 years' worth of their secret life. Gasps echoed around the room as the evidence flashed across the giant screen. The father is my husband. Adam. The room fell dead silent for a split second, like the air had been sucked out entirely. And then the explosion began. Gasps, whispers, people covering their mouths in shock. My parents looked at each other in horror, unable to process what they were seeing. Rachel's face twisted first into anger. "How dare you!" she snapped. Then hysteria took over. Tears, denial, trying to explain herself. "It wasn't like that. We didn't mean for it to happen." Adam still stood frozen, his head down, saying nothing. Not a word, not even to defend himself. It was worse than any screaming match. His silence said everything. My parents couldn't believe it. My father buried his face in his hands. My mother shook her head, tears running down her cheeks. Friends were already starting to gather their things, shocked and embarrassed to witness the disaster unfolding. But I wasn't finished. With my voice calm and unwavering, I looked directly at Adam and said, "This marriage is over. You'll be hearing from my lawyer tomorrow." And then I left. No tears, no breakdown, just the truth. Finally out where it belonged. I left that baby shower with shaking hands but a clear mind. I drove straight home, barely able to breathe, my vision blurry from the rage and heartbreak surging through me. The moment I walked through our front door, I didn't hesitate. I grabbed my suitcase from the closet and started packing. Moments later, I heard the front door slam behind me. Adam had followed me home. "Natalie, please, wait! Just stop for a second! We need to talk!" he shouted, his voice breaking. I ignored him, tossing my clothes into my suitcase as fast as I could. He grabbed my arm gently, desperately. "Please, don't do this. Don't just walk away." I spun around, my anger boiling over. "Don't do this? Are you serious, Adam? You slept with my sister, you got her pregnant, and you've been lying to my face for 2 years. My voice cracked as the words came out. "How do you even expect this to work?" He started to cry, his voice shaking. "I made a terrible mistake, Natalie. I was weak. I was confused. It was never supposed to happen like this. But I love you. I want to fix this. Please don't leave me." I stared at him, disgusted by his desperation. "Fix this? How, Adam? You think you can fix this?" I gestured wildly. "My sister is carrying your child. This isn't some random woman you met at a bar. This is my family. Our family, my parents' grandchild, my niece, or your child. Do you even hear yourself? You expect me to stand by and watch while my sister raises your child, and we just play happy family holidays together while pretending nothing happened." Adam collapsed onto the couch, burying his face in his hands. I don't know how we fix this, but I don't want to lose you." Tears streamed down my face now, my voice cracking. "You didn't think about that when you were sneaking around with her for 2 years. You didn't think about that when you got her pregnant. You didn't think about me at all." The house felt so small in that moment, suffocating. "I can't do this, Adam. I won't. You're not just losing me. You're losing everything." He reached for me again, but I pulled away. "It's over." And with that, I zipped up my suitcase, walked out the door, and left him standing there. finally forced to face what he had done. If it had been a stranger, some one-night stand, maybe I could have eventually seen it as a horrible mistake. Maybe in some distant, twisted way, I could have forgiven Adam for one terrible moment of weakness. But this wasn't a stranger. This was my sister, my own blood, the person who knew my pain, who comforted me through my fertility struggles, while secretly carrying on an affair with my husband. There was no coming back from that. The divorce happened quickly after that night. I packed what little I wanted to keep and moved back in with my parents. I was completely broken. My parents were heartbroken too, not just for me, but for everything our family had lost. They couldn't comprehend how Rachel could do this. The trust between all of us was shattered. Eventually, my parents told me that Rachel had moved in with Adam. That part nearly crushed me all over again. Adam reached out a few times. He apologized again and again, sobbing over the phone, saying he'd do anything to take it back. He told me he regretted everything, but that he wanted to take responsibility for the baby, his daughter. As much as it hurt to hear, I couldn't fault him for that part. At least he was willing to step up as a father. But that didn't change the reality. Everything else was gone. Our family hasn't been the same since. There are no more birthday dinners, no more Christmas gatherings, no more holidays filled with laughter and love. Just silence where a family used to exist. All because two people wanted a little pleasure without ever thinking about the devastation they would leave behind. Months later, after Rachel gave birth, she sent me a message. She said she wanted me to meet the baby, that she hoped someday I could forgive her. I never responded. I read her words once, and then I deleted the message. As much as it broke me, I knew one thing: I had to move forward. I had to build a new life without the people I once trusted most. Because some betrayals don't leave space for second chances. Some betrayals don't deserve them. And slowly, painfully, I've started to rebuild, piece by piece. In the end, they built a life on betrayal. And I walked away to rebuild mine on truth. Thank you for listening to my story. What is your story? Let me know in the comments. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and click the notification bell so you won't miss the next story.